I want you to get a picture in your mind about you being that main character, whatever that setting is, living in that. Just picture it, close your eyes, picture it right now. Okay? Okay, so I'm just going to give you the fundamental skills required to start living your life as the way you pictured it in your mind, right? Here's the fundamental skills. I'm going to put a list on the screen. There's going to be timestamps in the description below.
Full of niggas trying to hide your hoes. I'm getting high. Buddha that the times be slow. I keep my mind on, though you never find me, bro. And boo me. And nigga living life like a G. In that artillery. Keeping niggas off of me. I can't sleep. I'm living in these wicked times. Peak niggas after me. Cause they see I'm stacking G's. And you can holler if you want to. Please, I ain't running with no.
Okay. First thing. Mental health and its importance. Alright? So healing traumas. Healing traumas. How do you heal traumas? Okay. Now, healing traumas, this is a really complicated one. Everyone has past traumas. No matter who you are, it might be more severe. But everyone has traumas, and it's just something we all need to heal. And that is like the first step of like anything that you want to do in life. It's the first thing you need to do is just like heal your traumas. And obviously that's like easier said than done. If you don't know about this health checkup, there's this health checkup website. It's like from the UK or something. It is from the UK. It's the UK health checkup website. Just go on it. You'll get an anxiety score and a depression score. Basically, I use that and to like basically see like the actual numbers and how I can like decrease these scores, right? And basically, it just goes through like how you've been feeling in the past 2 weeks. And it will take you 2 weeks to significantly decrease both. What you can do to decrease these scores, it will give you like some steps. It should say there like what you can do to decrease these scores. Like if you got more depression or you got more anxiety or you got more of both or you have like a little bit in the middle. No matter what it is, it will like go through what you can do, right? So 2 of these, whether or not, is actually like mindful meditation, exercising, mindset. So it all goes hand in hand, basically, to living your life like a movie. Okay, second thing. Mindful meditation. Why did I say it like that? Mindful meditation. Okay, mindful meditation. What is mindful meditation? Mindful meditation is where you basically... There's a lot of forms of meditation, right? So you can meditate in many different ways. Some people say driving is their meditation. Some say painting is their meditation. But what we're going to be talking about is mindful meditation. What is mindful meditation? Mindful meditation is where you focus on the stillness of like everything. So right now, like I don't care where you are when you're watching this. You can do this literally anywhere. You don't need to get in a pose and fold your legs up and start humming to yourself. No, you can literally do this anywhere. Just breathe in. Okay, so just close your eyes too. Holding your breath. Breathe out. And ask yourself, I wonder what my next thought is going to be. I wonder what my next thought is going to be, right? And obviously, your attention span, it might be like really dog shit, okay? If you do meditate and you do journal and you do practice good habits, it depends person to person, obviously. But if your attention span is like dog shit, okay, which mine is pretty much dog shit at the moment, but it's all good, work in progress. Basically, you want to get into mindful meditation. You can tap into this mindful meditation no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing. You can always just like, okay, breathe. Ask yourself, I wonder what my next thought is going to be. And you'll realize when you ask yourself that, you'll find yourself in like this in-between stage where like literally like nothing exists and you just close your eyes and you can kind of see like all the bubbly like images. Like if you close your eyes you can kind of see like there's like black grainy type of like images that pop up and you can, because you're just like looking at your eyelids, it's pretty much like that, and you're just focusing on like looking at that, and you're just focusing on your breathing, and you're asking yourself, I wonder what my next thought is going to be. when you're doing that, you become conscious of what your next thought is going to be like. Next thing is not caring about what others think of you. Okay, now this one is another one that's like easier said than done. Okay, everyone can say, oh, don't mind them, just don't care. But like, and I usually am like, oh yeah, I don't care what others think of me, I really could not give a shit, right? And I'll say that to myself, and then I'll find myself like, even today, like, you know, I was just kind of like at the basketball courts, and I'm just like standing there and like really awkwardly, because I kind of wanted to play, but I didn't know if they were like wanting to play with me. And I was just like standing there awkwardly, you know? So it's like, you don't want to be finding yourself in that situation. And when you do, you kind of just want to remind yourself, who gives a fuck? Just do you. And if they reject you, then so what? It doesn't matter, because you don't care what others think of you. And that's what I should have done in this situation. Instead, I cared way too much about, oh, you know, what if they just tell me to go away? That's gonna hurt my ego. Oh, my ego. Okay? You kind of have to, like, not care about your ego, and you kind of have to, like, grow, like, a backbone, pretty much. Not really. But this comes hand in hand with, mindful meditation, right? Is, like, you think about, once you start, like, observing the way you feel, it becomes obvious. It's like, oh, well, I'm feeling like this because of such and such. Why do I even care about this such and such? You know? Like, that's not... I am identifying myself with a feeling. And this is a really good book. Like, you can see my giraffe bookmark. I'm, like, halfway through it right now. And it's, like, I advise anyone to read it. If you don't read, okay, I don't give a shit. Start reading. Like, reading, it will change you. So, please read. I'm going to talk about mindsets, negative mindsets, and growth mindsets. A negative mindset. How do you know you have a negative mindset? Start thinking about the negatives. It's really easy to start thinking about the negatives, and this might not even be necessarily your fault, right? What's the news that draws the most attention? It's the negative news, right? It's always like, to do with COVID and, oh, there's, you know, like, no one talks about the good news, if that makes sense. So, it's not necessarily your fault for having this negative mindset, but it's your responsibility for changing it. Okay, if you watch the news a lot, like, the news is always negative. They're not going to talk about the positive shit, no. They're always discussing the problems of the world. So that's why you're going to see, like, news reporters and shit, with, like, eye bags, really bad eye bag. I got bad eye bags. I've always had bad eye bags, Yeah, but negative mindset, it's not necessarily your fault, but it is your responsibility to change it. You don't have to feel that way. You shouldn't have to feel that way. But you can definitely change that. You can change that by being in that mindful meditation spot, observing each of your thoughts. So instead of, like, letting the thoughts, like, overcrowd your mind, you kind of just close your eyes, wonder what the next thought is going to be. You see the next thought and you're like, oh shit, I lost track of, like, the now. You lose track of your presence, and then you kind of try and bring yourself back. You know, it's like, when you do see anything, when you see any thought, you don't want to put a negative name on it, even when it's a negative thing. Like, this might go for, like, you've had a shit day or something. It's not really gonna go for the serious shit. Like, you know, like, people going through war or something, or, you know, like, dark shit. And you're just like, oh, be positive, because that's, like, not real. It's hard to be positive, though. It is quite hard to be positive, even if your life seems so great. That it's so easy to pick out all the negative things, right? Just like the media has really, like, conditioned you to for your mind to automatically pick out the negative news. It's like, oh shit, you know, there's news, someone got shot, and it's like, you know, obviously that's really serious, right? And you can't really say that's a positive thing, you can't just be positive about that. But when you have all this information around us, you see things negatively a lot more, right? You don't just see things more negatively, but everything that is negative amplifies that negative mindset. If that makes sense. So how do we change this? Is through mindful meditation. We change this mindset through that. And then you want to have another mindset where you're a student and you're just learning everything about the world, right? You see a kid, you see a puppy, you know, or you see like a dog, you know, they're not really stressed about anything as such. You can't see them, they're like happy. Like a kid, for example, just happy playing in the playground, just being. You know? It's kind of like that. It's kind of like the mindset you want to have. Habits, good and bad. Okay, so habits. What are good and bad habits? Now, you might not feel bad about doing most of the things you do, but you might not even realize that you're feeling that way because you haven't given yourself any time to really think about the things that you are doing. If you're doing things like scrolling through your phone for hours, I'm guilty for this. I actually scrolled through my phone quite a bit today. But like, that will quite literally, like, subconsciously rewire your brain to just feel shit. It's gonna feel shittier because you're not really being in the present. You know? And if you're eating junk, you're smoking lots, you're subconsciously gonna feel guilty for that because you could be doing something better. But you don't know what that is because you haven't given yourself any time to think about that. Flow state. Now, this is the main point. This is the main point of living your life like a movie. It's being in a complete flow. A complete flow. Okay, so what is a complete flow? A complete flow, let me give you a story. An example, right? So, I'm doing like this poetry thing, okay? And a lot of people are going to say, oh, poetry's gay. I don't really give a shit. It's not. But okay. Poetry. So, yeah, so we have like this poetry class. Not really poetry class, but it's like an extra, not really extracurricular. I don't know. It's in the school, right? It's like a school program thing. And I turned up for it. I actually turned up late for it. But I turned up and there's like, it was like a combined classroom because it was like a program thing that I did, right? Turn up, I walk in the classroom and, you know, we have like the participants that are doing it. So I'm like one of the participants that are going to go up and present like a poem, right? And here's everyone just like writing down, like revising over like the poems they've made from like months ago. And I was like, oh, I could speak about this one really good poem that is kind of like irrelevant right now to like my state of mind right now. But like I could kind of tap into that and present something really good. Or I can just like make something on the spot about what I'm feeling right now. Because I'm feeling like confident, I'm feeling more conscious, right? And so I'm just like sitting there, I'm thinking for a bit while like people like it's still going on. And I just start writing. And I just start writing about like all the thoughts that I've been observing myself with. And I've just been like writing, you know, and I write like this poem. It was like 3 pages. Like this is how big the pages are. So they're quite small actually. So it was like a 3-page poem. And you know, so people, and the length of the poem has to be like around 2 minutes, which it was. But yeah, people going up there, they're getting like ratings by the judges, and I just thought it was like I didn't know it was like anything serious, but I came to find out it was actually poetry finals. And so I was like the 8th person that had to go up. So they're drawing names out of the bucket, you know. And so they're like, oh, it's on. I'm like, oh, okay, I got this. And I just get up, and they had like lollies there that they were handing out. And I just go up, and I pick up the lolly, and I'm like, this food is addictive, and like I just go on about the poem. I'm not gonna read the poem because that's just gonna take up lots of time. But basically, I like go on, and then like it almost sounds like a rap, and I'm like out there, I'm like projecting, I'm like moving, and nothing else was on my mind except for that. I wasn't feeling nervous, okay? And when you do feel nervous, okay, some people might tell you, oh, I'm not nervous, I'm excited, right? Because it actually releases the same chemicals in your brain. So, as a sense, I kind of just told myself, I'm excited, and I just forgot about it. I just read this poem, I just focused on what my mind was, and it wasn't really a form of expressing myself as such, but just getting across a message, right? I'm like, I just want to get across a message, and I just tapped into the flow. I'm like, this is the only thing that exists. It's like, there's no other thoughts that can interrupt your flow, pretty much. So there's like no other thought, it's just complete presence. And I'm there, and then like, and I finished the poem, and I put the book down, and I'm like, oh shit. Like, obviously I knew where I was, and then I kind of just like took myself back, and then I just get this round of applause, and like, that's a 10, and I actually came second, and I'm making it to poetry finals. I'm pretty proud of that, not gonna lie. But yeah, it just kind of took me back a bit, because like, it was just silent, it was just complete flow, and that's the only thing that exists. It's like when you're at a party, and you're having like a really good conversation with something, nothing else exists, it's just you and that other person, you're just completely locked in with each other, right? And you're just like having this mad conversation, it can be anywhere, obviously, but yeah, it's just like nothing else exists, it's just that complete flow where you're just doing anything, and that's why people, I feel like, they do insane activities like rock climbing. They do like crazy rock climbing, race car driving. What's some other things? Like stunts. I don't know what else there is I can just think about racing and rock climbing. But like, it's those activities that make you feel like you're so close to like death, pretty much. It's like, you're so close to death that the only thing that matters is like focusing on your survival. Like that focus. What's another one? Not really death. But like boxing and like martial art sports, when you're like, in the ring with someone. It's like nothing else exists. I'm just focused on everything. I'm focused on his eyes, focused on the opponent's like, where they're gonna look, where they're going to like throw their hand, you're focused on your breathing, you're focused on everything. Or when you're in the gym and like the only thing you think about is like the muscles like contracting. It's like that is the complete flow state. And it's a skill you need to learn to really just tap into, and that is what's gonna make your life like a movie. Like, that's why people say, oh, that party was like a movie, or we did that, it just felt like we were in a movie, because you're in the complete presence, you're completely immersed in that thing that you were doing. Now, let's say your brain has too much fog, it has too much noise from your bad habits, or your past, like, traumas, Obviously, I'm kind of spreading that word very lightly, but things that kind of haunt your brain, they kind of stay there, and you don't know why you feel shitty, but you just kind of feel shitty. What you want to do is you just want to grab a pen and paper. Don't write this on your phone. Don't be doing these ones. Don't be doing these ones. Just write it out. Write it out with a pen and paper, or pencil and paper, and just completely just write, I don't know why I'm feeling this way, and just write exactly everything that you're thinking about, and that will empty your mind onto paper, so it's not in the back of your mind, like background noise. So all the noise is being placed onto paper, and you can kind of look back on that in the future, and you can literally measure how much better you're getting at meditation. And that's how you can kind of, progressively overload your mind for meditation, right? But yeah, another thing is looking past looking past mistakes? How do you look past your past mistakes? Okay, and you just kind of like make your intentions clear, and as soon as something doesn't go your way, it's kind of like, oh shit, I don't want to do that again. But it's not really your mistake. It might not be, because everything has like different outcomes, right? So like if you're doing that same thing again, it could be like, oh, it might be a different outcome this time, right? And you kind of just have to look past your mistakes and just be like, okay, that was in the past. What did I do wrong? Not in a way of like, you don't want your self-reflection to be like, okay, they responded this way. I don't know why, but it was because of this thing that I know that is good. You kind of just want to find the common denominator. And if that's you, then you know there's something to change. If not, then you know it's not you. And when you know it's not you, you can look past your mistakes. You can kind of look back, kind of just like look past and just be like, well, last time I'm pretty sure I did everything right. I'm not the common denominator in this situation. So, but life only feels like a movie when I'm really doing something. It's like once in a blue moon, right? And that's what's worth living for, is like that one great grand party or one great grand New Year's Eve where you really feel yourself being alive, and that felt like a movie for like a week or something, and it was great. That was so great. And then my life is boring. And if your life is boring, quite literally all you need to do is just like go for a walk. Just go for a walk and just be mindful about every little thing in that present moment, just like as if you're looking at your eyelids, except you just open your eyes, you kind of look at the leaves, and this sounds really, really hippie, but so what, it sounds hippie, I don't give a shit. You just take notice of like everything that is around you, and that is total presence. You're in the flow, and you're practicing being in the flow, but you're just doing it by yourself, and you kind of just listen to the song, and you kind of see like the little fine details of every little thing, right? How does a movie grab your attention? You get immersed in it, right? And that's how you feel like it's a movie. You need to start getting immersed into life. That's what you do. And then, quite literally, every single moment of your life is going to feel like a movie. And then you can just write about it. And you're just like, I felt this way, I felt that way, why did I feel that way? And that's going to open up so much more opportunities for yourself. Because you're observing everything from like your alter ego that's like living this life of your movie. Like a movie. And you're just living by your own means. And it's like a great way to live, in my opinion. And, okay, so here's the last point. It's gonna get NSFW. Nofap. Nofap. Okay. If you don't know what Nofap is, please, I'm not gonna explain it, just look it up. It's basically just like a movement where you quit porn and masturbation. A lot of people are gonna say, no, but it's healthy. It's not fucking healthy. Bro, do you know how many dopamine receptors are getting like overridden when you watch porn? It's like, there's statistics on it. I might put some screenshots up right now. It's the same as doing heroin. You think of a heroin addict, right? They're not living their life as a fucking movie, but they're living their life as a disaster, right? If you're watching porn at least like once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, that's like doing heroin. You know what I mean? It's like, you're not going to be present. You're not going to be in the present because you have all this, your dopamine receptors are so fried that you can't find enjoyment and you can't be immersed. So what you want to do, I'm going to just summarize all the content points. Content points? All the points that I'm going over is mental health and its importance. Okay, so these are all the fundamentals that you need to learn. Mental health and its importance, and this includes like healing traumas, like your negative mindsets and your growth mindsets, and then things that you want to learn, so like all the skills you want to learn. Mindful meditation, not caring about what others think of you, looking at the habits, reflecting on your habits, practicing tapping into that flow state where you're fully immersed in anything you're doing. It can be the most boring batshit thing. You could be turning up to work for like your 100th shift of your shitty job, and just start taking notice of everything, and really find yourself, why is it shitty? You know, if you're like working at a place like McDonald's, okay. I'm not gonna say if you enjoy working at McDonald's. No one enjoys that shit, okay. Like seriously, if you enjoy working at McDonald's, I don't know what to tell you, bro. But like, if you're working there and you're just fully immersed and like, this is actually a kind of shit job. I don't want to be working here, and you're gonna actually make these steps to change your career. So it's a good thing, I guess. Looking past your past mistakes and not taking them too personally, right? And Nofap. Those are all the things that you should be doing to be living your life like a movie. It's always gonna... the more you tap into this flow state, the more your life is gonna feel like a movie. Like, even this... I don't know why, it's just like the most peaceful time for me. Is like, I'll finish a workout and I'll just walk inside and I'll have like music, like very quietly. And I'll just be like walking through the house, and it's just like silent because it's soundproof, so I'm not really hearing anything else. I'm just like walking around. I'm just like feeling the presence of everything. Feeling the like pump, which is really good. But you just feel like really good. You're just like, wow, I'm really in this point in time right now. And it should immerse you. It definitely should immerse you. Okay. So do all those things that I mentioned, and read this book. Read this book, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. It's going to really help you. It's going to explain more in detail about flow state, and it's going to talk about being immersed in like meditating, mindful meditation. So yeah, I hope my advice is gonna make your life a movie. Okay, start living your life like a movie. Have goals is another thing. Start putting together, like, not just having goals, but like working towards them. Not so much obsessing over them, but just be in the present and being like, I'm being productive right now, and that's a good thing. And you should feel good about that, and that should give you that confidence, and that's just gonna reinforce that positive mindset. But yeah, I think that wraps up this video. I hope my advice helped you, because I started feeling like my life is a movie, like, every day, and it's just a great feeling to have. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. Start living your life like a movie.